Good afternoon, good evening to everybody here. I have Laura Patterson from VisionEdge Marketing today, and happy to have her on. We're both VisionEdge speakers and part of this CEO group, which is pretty cool. I just found out she lived near me as well. But Laura, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little about your company so our audience has a context for our conversation.
Sure. And thank you, Dean, for having me. I'm really delighted to be an opportunity to be a guest. So I have been at the helm of VisionEdge Marketing, a growth strategy firm since 1999, and we help customers take a strategic approach to growth that entails putting the customer at the center of the business decisions they make. And so that requires a good data because you need insights from data. So I know that's another thing we share in common. Also, operational excellence, which again is important from a experience perspective, you being involved in user experience and us in creating customer experiences, and really excellent ways to measure whether it's working. So those are the things that we focus on with our customers.
Yeah, that's great. I always tell our company, customer first. We don't get paid unless we have happy customers, but it's actually so hard to do, like when you're in the heat of battle or running your company or just going about your daily routine and ensuring everyone does. Do you have share some ideas or secrets how like people can really stay focused and be customer centric?
And that's a great question. And one of the things that people always say to me is, "Oh, so we should just do whatever the customer wants." And that is not what we are talking about. This is not really about doing whatever the customer wants, but it is about understanding what your customers think success is for them, what value is for them, and what value you deliver for them. So if you can understand what they're looking for, what they need, what they aspire to, and how you fit, and how you fit into that conversation, then you can make a difference in how you create value for your customer and value for your business. So that's really what we're talking about. And so it isn't necessarily about stepping all over each other and to do stupid things for customers. You don't want to do that. You want to do smart things for customers. And that smart things for customers means you really have to have good insights about your customers.
Now, how do you like keep a pulse on, are you delivering great customer experience? Are you taking care of customers? I mean, are you using AI and data or some like, how do you like ensure you're hitting the mark and your whole company is actually delivering on that value?
That is a great question, and the answer is yes. So let's break that apart a little bit. Yes, you should be asking your customers outright, right, about the experience. And I don't mean just transactional, but real asking them. And one great way to ask, besides trying to do maybe hard surveys for a lot of companies, that's hard to do, and it's cumbersome. They really don't know how to do that. Have a customer advisory board. Great way to ask. And that's an excellent way to have a pulse. And then, of course, there do need to be ways to talk to, like quarterly business reviews. That's another excellent way to keep a pulse. And definitely need to conduct good, solid customer feedback, voice of customer research. That is important to do. But again, that you should probably get an expert to help you with that because it's really hard to ask the right questions. It's easy to create questions that will develop a bias or create a bias. And oh, please don't have ChatGPT make your survey.
But help you in other areas.
Absolutely. Just remember that AI is already comes with a training. It's been trained. It's been trained on data. And if you're not careful, that data can come with a bias, and then you can just amplify that bias if you're not careful. And then all you've done is create an echo chamber. We talk about that with a lot of our customers. So that's just be cautious about how you approach that.
Yeah, that I won't get into politics, but there's too much echo chamber going on in America. But disregard that comment. Don't even comment on that. But so some like us, we're a product company. A lot of people are product companies, and so like we measure the lifetime value of a customer and renewal rate, and but that has to do with both the product, but also the service. And but it's always hard. Like our customer facing people, are they really delivering great customer experience and taking care of them and listening? And do you have processes or ways to ensure that? Because not unless a customer is upset with you, they don't really want to give you always say, oh, you're doing a great job. And then so you're always hearing like when maybe something didn't go well. But is there some best practices around how do you keep a pulse of how your customers are feeling interacting with your team?
That is also a really good question. And there are some excellent measures. In fact, we have a white paper. It's free on our website, and it's about bringing your A game. And so if you're going to, and that has an infographic, but a couple of measures that maybe people don't think about is like a customer effort score. Like how hard or easy is it for people to do business with you? And so that's an interesting way to begin to measure how vulnerable are some of your customers. So a customer vulnerability index could be really useful. Do you have customers at risk, and which ones might they be? So there are other kinds of measures, but I love your customer lifetime value. It's an excellent measure. And there are many others depending on what is important. So if you're a very service oriented company, and then you might even be think about a ServQual type of set of measures, which are out there in the market that you can leverage. So there are a variety of other ways to measure. It's really important to understand what you're trying to achieve. Your customer acquisition rate can tell you a lot. Your customer referral rate can also tell you a lot. So these are just examples. I'm not saying these are ones every company should use, but maybe it'll prime the pump to be having people think about, oh, I'm wondering if we need more customer oriented measures.
Yeah. And how, like, we use like AI to a lot on our sales call. So we're always like helping coach and train our salespeople. But a lot of our like support is done digitally. And I'm not even, I should be, after this call, I'm going to find out. I don't know if we're using AI to ensure we have proper tone and quality of answers, but how has AI impacted like you and some of your customers, and, how to help really improve customer centricity?
Good question. So I want to back up for just a moment, since we've launched right into the deep end on AI. You can hardly have a conversation anywhere without broaching on the topic of AI. I just the other night at the dinner table, just at our dinner table, we're having a conversation about AI with my 88-year-old mother. So everyone's talking about AI. All right. So here's the thing that's important to remember. Creativity is still a very human thing. And we don't know where creativity really comes from, right? And creativity is the source of imagination, right? And imagination right now is still a very human thing. And it is imagination that drives innovation. So I want people to understand that AI is a tool, right? And it will, at this point in time, in its development and in its point in time in our journey with it, we as humans still own the space of creativity, imagination, and therefore innovation. The AI is only going to give us as a tool what we are capable of asking it to do. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
And so I find that a lot of our customers want to take maybe the easy way out, and they're thinking about how the AI can do the work that they were doing. But the human being is important. There is work for the AI in repetitive tasks and fast calculations and all kinds of great ways to use the tool. But as I was trying to, as my mother and I were talking about in this conversation over dinner, and she's 88 years old. And when she was in school, they didn't have calculators. And when we were in school, we had calculators, and it's a tool. But you really do want to understand the principles of multiplication, division, percentages. You want to understand the basic concept. What are those things in order to use the tool well, correct?
Definitely.
And that is the same framework for using AI. You still need to understand the underlying principles and best practices if you're going to use the tool well. Otherwise, as my father used to say about tools, if you don't really understand how to do the task, then when you automate the task, you just can do more damage faster.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Like, we need our kids continuing to study STEM and just study, because I think another way is like just critical thinking. Like, you can't, if you don't understand concepts, then you can't leverage AI as a collaborator. And as you talked about innovation, AI is trained on the prior innovations, and it is getting better about doing pattern recognition and then putting different patterns together and then innovating. But like the state where we're at, it's a great collaborator in what you're doing. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, you've got to understand basic concepts and critical thinking and systems thinking, like how to like bring together multiple things of a customer experience, with the product offering, with like, how do you want to have a competitive edge and differentiate yourself? It'll help you. But as you said, yeah, it takes you to think about bringing all these pieces together and then collaborate with an AI to improve some process or business script or customer interaction. Or, yeah, I'm just sharing my point of view, but not that you asked.
But I did ask, and we're having a great conversation about it. And I think this is the kind of conversation a lot of people are having as they navigate their way and really trying to understand how well can we use it? What and when should we use it? Where does it fall down? Where do we need to be paying more attention? Where do we need to have that human, for lack of a better word, oversight? And where do we interface to bring the human touch into the process? Because back to customer experience and user experience, it is about a human being having an experience. Yep. And therefore, human beings need to be having the ability to have a good experience created by human beings, not just by machines, because that's part of what we are is as a species. We are a collaborative, communal, for most of us, social species, not everybody, but the vast majority. And therefore, you want to be sure that you're creating that kind of interaction, those kinds of interactions for your customers.
Now, there is some pretty impressive AIs out there that have like amazing ability to connect with whoever they're talking to and show empathy. And if you didn't know any better, you would think you're speaking to somebody that really cares about you. And you know what's also amazing? I'm shocked by some of the statistics going on out there about loneliness, and
Yes.
It's like an epidemic. And in Japan, they have a minister of loneliness. So like the whole world has this loneliness problem, which unfortunately tech has exasperated, unfortunately. And so, yeah, the human connection is so important, and just for happiness and also for good, repeat, happy customers. But the tech's getting a little too advanced too. So we don't want to have another social media experience of alienation and bad behaviors where AI is coming in. I think that you're being an advocate for that. But it is advancing. And so it's a little scary that we leverage it for its benefit and be conscious of the consequences of what can happen.
No, for no doubt, the genie is out of the bottle, so to speak, and it is rapidly advancing, and it can do amazing things. It can crunch data and data sets far faster than we ever could, as long as we give it the power to do it, right? Yep. But let's remember that it takes a tremendous amount of energy for the AI to do its job. That's why we have to have enormous data centers and computing power. And that's what is enabling AI to do what it does. I think, again, it's not like it's just a calculator. It takes tremendous amount of energy in order for the AI to fulfill the kind of promise that it can do in terms of data models and everything else. But it does allow us as humans to potentially, to your point, think about bigger problems, bigger issues, solve bigger customer problems, build smarter things, all of those things that the AI, because can take away some of those repetitive tasks. But I can tell, I am getting pretty good at detecting content, for example, that was written by an AI versus a real person. And I don't read that content. I can tell as soon as I read the subject line, oh, there's one that was written by ChatGPT, right? I want to hear what you think. I don't want to hear what it wrote.
You don't read it because you feel it's not authentic or won't be factual, or you rather, maybe it's the context of what you're reading. Maybe it's like, when wouldn't you read it? Under what context?
If it comes in an email, right?
Oh, yeah. It's not personalized. It's not.
Yeah. Even if it has my name in the email, or if it comes LinkedIn articles, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking, look, I'm connected to you because I value what you think and the relationship that we have. And I just want to know what you really think. I don't want you to go to AI and say, oh, write me an article on 500 words on topic X. That's not what you think.
Yeah, that's false. It's not really what you represent or the value you could bring.
Or how about this one? ChatGPT, what are the top 10 topics that people are searching right now? And now write me an article on those 10 topics. That's interesting. I'm glad that you can find that's maybe useful research, but that's that's not necessarily the most effective use of AI in that instance.
Yeah, it comes down to, which we all have now, data sprawl. You go into your chat systems and your email and there's just too much data. And so people just start having easy ways to publish repetitive content out there. Nobody wants that. That's not helpful. So I was they emailed me some of your background and I found out that you were a VisionEdge speaker, which it's hard to become a VisionEdge speaker. So congratulations. I'm a VisionEdge speaker. It wasn't so easy. Like you have to get these top marks and the bar is really high. And for people that don't know, VisionEdge is mid-market CEOs. It's like a group of about 14,000 CEOs, and it's an organization where we're in these chapters, and it's coaching, learning group. The bar for VisionEdge speaking is very high. Maybe you could share a little bit. Like I only read briefly your workshop, your topic, but I think it'll be interesting to the audience to hear like some of those concepts that you use for customer centricity.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. And you're right, it is not an easy journey.
No.
And even when you're in the room, it's not an easy journey. But my signature program that VisionEdge likes is 4 game changers for every stage of growth. And essentially, whether you think you're customer centric or wherever you are in your journey to customer centricity there's always more that you can do. And the idea behind this is that in order to grow, you really have to balance customer value and business value. And what you end up happening for a lot of companies, and one of the things we talk right about at the very beginning is, how do you grow today? So in your company, has a product, there are what is known as product-centric companies. And then there are sales-centric companies, and there are market-centric companies. And then there is this idea of customer-centric companies. And what does that really look like, and how are they different? It's one of the things we talk about. And it gives you a chance to think through, what are you really about as a company? Not what do you say you are or do, what is your customer service team, but your company, how does it actually operate? And we have a little customer centricity assessment VisionEdge members take before I come, where and it's free, and your listeners can find it on our website under the assessments, and it's a free customer centricity, 10 questions, answer these 10 questions and see where your gaps are and from the perspective of your customer. And so once we go through that and people recognize that, oh, maybe there are opportunities to be more customer centric, what are the game changers? One is insights from data. You made a really important point, Dean, earlier about data sprawl. Data is not the challenge today. Oh gosh, I miss the days when we had less data. Don't you?
We make a living off data, so we love data.
We do
but,
too.
but as a business owner, I hate data sprawl.
No, but I'm with you. We do make a living off data, but the real challenge is insights from data. And this takes us back to AI. You getting the data and crunching it and analyzing it, and then being able to really get the insights from it. AI can do some of that, but in the end, a human being really has to think about the insights and how to apply what they're seeing to opportunities in the marketplace. So insights from data. And again, that kind of goes back to that question, those 3 questions I brought up earlier. Do you know what success is for your customers? Have you actually asked them? Do you know what your customers value and what it is they value from you? Because those are important questions to ask. And you'd be surprised when I ask that question, how sometimes people in the room don't know the answers to those questions, or maybe not succinctly. They might have vague or ambiguous ideas about it, but not really succinctly. So that's one thing we talk about. And the second thing we talk about is strategy. And I don't want to give the story away, but we talk about gardening and how you have to make choices when you're nurturing a plant for growth to get what you envision that plant's going to look like at maturity. And that applies to our businesses too. You have to make some choices, and strategy is about making choices. And so that's our second kind of thing we delve into. We then get into operational excellence, because all businesses run on process, right? And
or lack of process.
But you want to be able to run on processes, and if you don't have them defined, then you'll just make them up. People will make them up. Yep. And then maybe that's okay for a while, because then you can be nimble and scrappy and all of that. But then later, it can create other challenges. And then lastly, measures, getting the right kinds of measures. And one of the challenges many companies have is they've gotten sucked into different kinds of measurement systems, and they can be very complicated. And we just say, look, let's get a few really good measures around customers around your customers so that you can just have a good pulse on your business, like you mentioned earlier. So
Yeah.
those are the things we talk about in the 4 game changers. I don't delve too much into AI. That's a whole separate kind of conversation and takes its own time to get through. But in today's world, you can't get into any meeting without a conversation about AI.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's interesting because like we talk about go-to-market strategies like product led. So that's where, oh, we're really leading with the product, giving all kinds of digital information so they can self-service, and the whole customer journey of buying happens through like product led. And then we talk about sales led, where it's actually involves a sales team in making a decision. And then we like a hybrid of sales led and product led. But until you just said it, I never thought about it. Like, what's the go to market around customer? Not, of course, we're all focused on customer, but how can you have a competitive go to market around customer delight or customer, even though it's implied, it doesn't happen by itself. So like when you're defining your go to market, sales, marketing, product led, but I don't know, just made me think when you said that, like customer led go to market, what does that look like? Is that something that is that part of what you do, or?
Yes. And you know that you bring up a really good point. And you're right. There are different many go-to-market strategies. There's niche strategies and vertical strategies and land grab strategies and ecosystem strategies. There's a million and one different ways that you can go to market. There's lots of different strategies for going to market. So when we are thinking about the customer experience today, I think one of the things that people need to understand is that technology is leveling the playing field very quickly, very quickly. And therefore, how do you differentiate yourself in the marketplace? And customer experience is going to be something you can differentiate yourself. So that means you really have to give some thought. And that means you truly need to have a value proposition that connects with and is compelling to your customers. That is customer led, right?
Yep.
So before VisionEdge Marketing, I had a fairly long, couple decade long corporate career. And I was in technology, semiconductors, enterprise software, application software, financial services. So I've been in a variety of different industries. And as you can imagine, the semiconductor industry in the early days, it was very, very product centric. If we build it, they will come.
Yeah. Engineering led.
Yes, that makes it product centric.
Yeah.
And being a part of that organization, our growth came when we started being more market centric and customer centric. We even created an entire division called customer specified integrated circuits. And these were by capturing what customers were defining as their requirements and actually building out those types of, making it so that the customer could say, I want it, like I want this in my chip. You know, so it can do this, right? That's a way to make the product be customer led. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Just giving you an example of how a product company can do it. It can be done. And
Yep.
that's a long while back. And it can be done in the product front. It can be done on the marketing front. It can be done on the sales front. It can be done in a variety of ways of really understanding where to meet your customers.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And you know, it's a big challenge. I wonder if you have ideas around this. So Gartner reports 67% of the customer journey to buying some service or product, they don't want to interact with your company. They'll interact with your digital properties, but and it's not until the last third of the buying cycle where they want to interact with you. And like, how do you, from your point of view, how do you ensure customer centricity when there's so much self-serve and talking to others, and they do all their diligence before they even engage with the humans at your company?
Yeah, you just made my case. All right.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm interested to hear like, what's your point of view with that, because it's a huge challenge, because customers ghost you. They don't want to talk to you. It's like they don't want to talk to you. And you're like, wait a minute, we can help you in your thought process and your buying decision, but they don't want to talk to you until the end.
I think that we need to understand that it's not that they don't want to talk with us. That the way to think about it is they're doing their due diligence. And so you have to think about all the ways they're going to do that due diligence. And to your point, so where do they go first? Where do they go second? When are they going to come to look at your website? What on your website are they going to want when they visit the first time versus what are they going to want when potentially they visit the second time? Yes, they might want to look at customer testimonials. They might actually be talking to members of in some community they're a part of. How can you be bringing important and valuable information to that community? All different ways that you need to be thinking about. Do they want to consume podcasts, for example, or do they want to, and videos, or do they want to consume white papers or cues? And at what point in their journey do they want that kind of content, right?
Yep.
So really having clarity around what are the stepping stones through their buying journey? Who are they talking with? What do they need? Which channels are they using? That's what you have to be doing. That takes insights about your customers. That
Yeah.
takes good data about
Yeah.
your customers. That takes really understanding the customer buying journey. That takes understanding customer personas, because different personas will do different things. And in the B2B world that I live in, and that in the B2B world of complex products that have a consultative sell, there's probably multiple people that are a part of that journey. So when are they brought in? When is somebody brought in? So when do you need to have your guy brought in? When is your technical people brought in? When are your legal people need to be part of it? When do your marketing people need to be part of it? When do your finance people need to be part of it? All of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I tell you, here's another huge challenge, at least for like software companies or SaaS companies, is people, like, we have so much data, first of all, as tech people. Like, we've instrumented our apps, we know everything about it, but you want to know the one question we don't know that we want to know, which goes back to what problem are you trying to solve, and why did you leave? Like, why didn't we, like, why don't you think we could solve the problem you came in looking for? Do you have any tips around that? So, because you have all these people trying your app and your service or software, but you never know what's their mindset. Like, what problems are they trying to solve, and why didn't you meet that need?
That's a good question. And there are techniques for that. In the old days, they used mystery shopping, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would have that as a way to do and find out why people might be walking out the door, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't they buy something when they were actually in a brick and mortar? And that is where you can, again, potentially have a customer advisory board. A customer advisory board can be made up of people that you can talk with. How can we find out? Ask 5 people and find out why they left, right? Because then they don't think you're selling to them. Sit down with somebody, and you probably do this with usability testing. Let me show you, and why would you leave? So there are different ways. There's ethnography studies. There's all different ways that you can look at things. You can even, I've seen this. I don't know how effective it is. Where, wait, before you go, why are you leaving?
We have a whole UX team, a whole research team, and the big challenge is digitally people can ignore you.
Yeah.
And that's the big challenge. So, like, when you get back to customer centricity requires a human, so true. And when you have this ability to be anonymous digitally, people don't answer surveys. People don't even reach out to find out why did you leave? Or it's a challenge. So if you can help solve that problem, I know a lot of companies want to know how to do that, including
Sure.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we all do, but I think you're bringing up a really good point. The digital world has a lot of benefits in terms of speed, right? There's a lot of benefits in the digital world, but there's drawbacks too. You have to think about, and this is probably a terrible metaphor, but I can't think of a different one right now, but it's a little bit like dating, right? It's a little bit like dating. In the dating world, the more digital it became, you had fake identities, right?
Yeah.
You have all kinds of different things that are happening. The real test comes in person.
No doubt.
The real test comes on the phone call and the in-person, and that's
Yeah.
true. So I want to remind people, you've got to have a way for people to engage with you in the human way, whether that's get on a Zoom call or meet at a trade show or go to a conference together or whatever it is. You've got to be able to find a way to have that human interaction, because let's face it, ultimately, it's just like dating. People buy from people they know.
Yep.
People buy from people they like. And then people buy from people they trust. And then people buy from people that have solved their problem.
Yeah, no doubt. Trust is a big factor, and that's dealing with people. And now, is there any question I didn't ask you that you said, I wish Dean would have asked me that question?
No, I think this has been a wonderful conversation. We didn't really have a whole bunch of prepared questions. We're really just having a conversation. And I hope that the people in your community are thinking, wow, those are some of the things that we're grappling with too. And if they're grappling with something that we didn't touch on, if they reach out and ask you, we can figure out a way to give them an answer. I think everyone's trying to figure out many of the same things, and I trying to understand how this new technology is going to be something they can leverage without it causing damage, whether that's damage to their customer relationships, damage to their employee relationships. Employees are nervous too, right? Because yeah, they're worried that, hey, these tools might actually take my job. You don't need a customer service person if you can have a chatbot agent and it asks, to your point earlier, you think it's a real person. So that means, how do we make sure that we are still having opportunities for people to be successful, not just, and customers to be successful, not just technology to be successful?
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of missteps here as we go through this. And
I'm sure I've already made them.
I mean, it's just the way it goes. And it's funny, like I'm a tech person, a technologist, and run a tech company. And sometimes just the pursuit of innovation in tech is not always thoughtful about the impact. And so we have to, like, the impact to people. And we have to be thoughtful about that. And yeah, the thing is, it's going so fast that it's okay, you can't ignore it. So you got to figure out, should I use it as a tool? Should I use it as a collaborator? Should I use it as both? But not ignoring it's not good, but figuring out how to use it beneficially. And then, not like some of the things we talked about here, you have to care about trust, people, interactions, relationships, and from a business point of view, and not from a dating point of view, but from a business point of view.
Yes.
And so yeah, we can't lose sight of that. It's fun and scary because of how fast things are moving, but quite interesting. Now, how do people get in touch with you? If people want to ask you questions, learn more about what you do, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, they can always find me on the website at visionedgemarketing.com. And we have all kinds of free resources there. The customer centricity assessment I mentioned, the Bring Your A game is on there. There's a customer centric worksheet on there. So a bunch of free things. Yes, you'll have to give us some information to get it, but it's there. And you can email me at Laura, first name, P, initial for my last name, at visionedgemarketing.com. And I'm happy to hear from them, welcome an opportunity to talk about it. And I'll just leave this little parting message from my father, who I admired greatly. Actually, two things. One was, if in doubt, don't.
Follow your gut.
If in doubt, don't. Right. If you're wondering if it's the right thing to do, probably not. And the second thing is, will this have a positive impact on the person that you're with? Are you
That's pretty thoughtful.
Yes. And if the answer is no, yeah, if it's no, then don't.
I think your dad was a wise man. Those are really simple but very powerful tips.
Yes.
Or I don't think customers are going away for any of us. No matter what happens with AI, things that you teach and thinking about the customer is never going to go away. Yeah, thanks for sharing your knowledge around this subject, and appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right.